and Michael Schur. Michael, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
You are so tired. I am so tired. You're more tired than me because we are recording this. Well, we're actually recording this live. We're going to start doing this live at Tuesdays at noon if we can do them at that time, noon Eastern time. So it is, I don't know, 15 minutes after game 3 ended. I don't know how much time has passed.
I don't know that it actually ended, if I'm being honest. I don't remember anything from the last 24 hours. My mind is blank.
Mike was at the game all the way to the finish line. Yes. Was there attempt to leave or no?
No, I stayed through the end. At some point I was with my friend Dave, who's a poker player.
Okay.
And in like the 15th inning, he was like, if you want to go, you can go. He had also driven to the stadium. And I said, in poker terminology, this is the very definition of pot committed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like
pot committed. Yeah.
You can't stay to the 15th inning of a World Series game and not stay to the end. And I was like, at some point I was like, I'm just here until this ends. And
yeah.
We hit the 14th inning and did the second 7th inning stretch, which, by the way, I have some quibbles with Dodger Stadium, which is that they have a 7th inning stretch graphics package that plays on the screens, during the 7th inning stretch.
Right.
And for the 14th inning stretch, it just said 7th inning stretch again. And I was like, come on, someone's gotta, this is the second time this has happened in 7 years. You gotta have a 14th inning stretch graphics package ready.
You have to. You're totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah. So I was just like, no, I think the story of this would be made worse only by saying I stayed until the 17th and
100%. And then,
yeah. So
I was in the parking lot and I heard cheers. Yeah, no,
yeah,
can't. You're totally pot committed. However, okay, we're going to get into the game. Mike does not have the full hour. He is going to have to break away about halfway through. We might be joined by Molly Knight. We'll see if that works out. Otherwise, it'll just be me talking.
Molly.
Poor Molly. There's another one. Molly sent me a photo of her niece in the back seat, just conked out, like she's like 8 or something, and it just conked out. But before we get into the actual game, which was an all-time classic, just an absurd game. Pot committed, how many people actually left Dodger Stadium? You were there.
I was, there's a lot to say about this in a short time. One is they announced the attendance at some point as like 52,654 or something. That is not the capacity of Dodger Stadium.
Not a sellout.
What in the world is happening to this city that I live in that you can't sell out a home game in the World Series? I don't understand it.
The first home game in the World Series. Yeah.
I don't understand it. And then, by the time I was taking pictures and sending them to people I may have sent one to you of the upper deck was just not full. By the time the game was over, it looked, I think, on TV worse than it was because a bunch of people in the fancy seats behind the plate had left.
Right.
It was
as you would expect.
It was a full stadium, and I based that not only anecdotally on looking around, but also on the hour it took me to leave Frank McCourt's Dodger Stadium parking lot after the game. So it was pretty full. Like most people did not leave.
Would you say 10% left? Would you say less, more?
I would say fewer. I would say a few thousand people maybe total.
So that's
left.
great. So listen. Obviously, not selling out. Huge knock. I mean,
so embarrassing.
I mean, for the biggest city in the country to, with the history of the Dodgers. However, the people that were there, real Dodgers fans.
Yeah, real Dodgers fans for sure. I mean, I remember in the Braves run in the 90s, I remember watching the first round of the playoffs and them saying that it was not a sellout. And it was sort of like, yeah, the Braves fans are just used to this and they are saving their money for the NLCS or whatever. But I remember thinking the city of Boston, just as one example, wouldn't be caught dead not selling out a playoff game. And I really thought that LA I thought that was a fate that would never befall Los Angeles.
Honestly. It's a weird one. Really obviously it's very different than Boston or Chicago or something, in the sense of.
And to be fair, to the city of LA. Ohtani, I think, alone has made it so that the cheapest get in the door price is $500 or something.
It's super duper expensive. Super duper expensive. But I mean, there's enough money in Dodgers in LA to
there's
sell.
enough money. It's an embarrassment that you can't sell out a World Series game. So that was bad. I do think though that like by the time we hit like the 14th or 15th inning, the crowd knew. You could just feel it. The crowd knew the Dodgers were winning because the injury to Springer, the pinch running for Bichette after his hit, the pinch running for like 4 other guys. There was one guy in their lineup who could have ended the game, which was Vladdy, and
that's it.
And the Toronto half innings were just like, all right, come on.
So I've got our friend of the podcast, Justin Halpern, sent me maybe the single best analogy for what it was like watching the Dodgers half of the inning and the Blue Jays half of the inning. I love this so much. The Dodgers half of the inning was like playing Monopoly and having your opponent have hotels on all the big ones, all like on Park Place and Boardwalk and the green ones. And the Dodgers and the Blue Jays lineup was like having like 2 houses on like those really cheap properties just after you pass go.
Baltic Avenue.
Right. Where basically you hit Baltic and you're like, ooh, all right, I'll pay you $150.
Oh, no, here's $90 to like, it did feel that way. And, also the Dodgers were coming so close. It was only
every time. Well, Will Smith's ball looked gone. T.O.'s ball looked gone. All right, so let's set this up really quickly for those of you who, I don't know why you wouldn't have followed this, but for those of you who didn't follow this, the game went 18 innings. So the series is tied at 1, and everybody knew coming into this game, the key for the Blue Jays was to get to the Dodgers bullpen. That was it. That's the only key. That's the only way they beat the Dodgers is to get to the bullpen, because the Dodgers starters are outrageous. And I mean, it's not like the Blue Jays have a killer bullpen themselves. They don't. But the key for the Blue Jays, get to that bullpen, beat up on the Blake Trinans of the world, and that's your chance. And they did. They got to the bullpen and they beat up on Blake Trinan. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Then in the 7th inning, with them up 5-4 and 1 out and nobody on base, they pitched to Shohei Ohtani.
Correct.
Right? With nobody on base, up 1 run, 7th inning, they pitched to Shohei Ohtani. They may never pitch to Shohei Ohtani again.
They've already said they won't. They've already said they're just going to walk him every time now.
Every single time they're going to walk him, which is, I mean, we don't even have time to get into the insanity that is the intentional walk. We don't even have time for that. No. But here's my point. At that point, even when Shohei Ohtani hit the home run, if you're the Blue Jays, you've got to be thinking to yourself, we're going to win this game.
I said the same thing out loud. I was like, look, right now it's 5-5. Right now, this game favors the Blue Jays.
Sure.
Like, except for the fact that they kept pinch running guys and kept taking their starters out. But even so, it was like, who's down there who scares you? Literally no one. Who's down? And in fact, not only do they not scare you, they excite you. Like,
they excite you.
Bring them in. I think that, like, this Dodgers team is so loaded that even when Dave Roberts, our good friend Dave Roberts, friend of the pod,
our pal,
even when Dave Roberts trusts Blake Trinan against all logic and reason in high leverage moments and brings him in, you're still like, well, it's only a matter of time until one of these multiple, MVP type players goes deep again. And so there's just never been a team like this ever. I think that, like, books are going to be written about this team. This team is A+ starting pitching.
Yes.
A+ lineup, straight F bullpen, just an absolute F. And the only reason they survived this game, even after a bunch of managerial mistakes, they brought in Trinan, and as soon as they brought him in, I was like, this game's tied.
Yeah.
At best, it's tied.
Yeah.
And even after intentionally walking a dude to give his terrible bullpen no room for
Well,
error at all.
let's just say who they intentionally walked. They intentionally walked Andres Jimenez, who is the worst hitter in baseball, maybe the worst hitter in baseball.
I believe he had a 598 OPS.
Yeah, it is 64 OPS plus, 65 OPS plus. Yeah,
and so even after that, and then the little dribbler ball to Muncy that loaded the bases, and it was like you don't, when you have an F bullpen, you cannot afford to intentionally walk anyone, much less the worst hitter on the team.
Yes.
And so even after all that, it's sort of like, if you can get to a point where it's just it's basically penalty kicks where like they have a half inning to score, you have a half inning to score, they have a half inning to score, you're still like, I guess you like your odds, and that's where they ended up. But I just couldn't believe the number of additional chances the Blue Jays gave the Dodgers, with getting thrown out on the bases over and over again.
Yeah.
Getting thrown, like sending guys, trying to stretch to third. Like, what are you doing? You're in their bullpen. Like you're where you want to be. And the Blue Jays don't strike out a ton, although I think they had 15 last night or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, it's 18 innings. Yeah.
Yeah. But like just play station to station baseball. You do not have to press the way they pressed in order to win, and they did. And because of that, they basically ceded the penalty kick shootout to the team whose bullpen was the worst of the two.
Well, I mean, 100% right. And I think we should just go through, because again, friend of the podcast, Dave Roberts, he managed a terrible game.
It was not his best work. Yeah.
No, to say the least. And I think there are three specific points I would bring up, only one of which backfired. The first was bringing Blake Trinan into this game at all. Like, much less with 2 outs to face Vladdy. Like, really? Like, that's the guy that's going to get Vladdy out? That was absurd. So that was one. And that should have cost them, right? Because that did give them the go-ahead run.
Yeah.
Second was, as you mentioned, walking Jimenez, which eventually leads to the bases being loaded. And third, I'm just going to say it, I just think it was a disastrous choice. You can't bring Clayton Kershaw into the game in that situation.
Boy, they got so lucky there. I mean,
so lucky.
Lucas,
you're asking Kershaw at this point in his career with nothing to not only get a guy out. It was Nathan Luke, so it wasn't like he didn't have to get out, Rod Carew or whatever. But you have to get him out, and you have to not walk him. I mean, that was, to me, the key. Like, Nathan Luke's apps, and he, of course, threw ball 4 twice to Nathan Luke.
At least maybe 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
is it Luke's or Lucas? I still don't know.
I you know what? I'd hate to say that I turned the sound off on the game at some point.
7.5 hours of John Smoltz is too many hours.
I mean, 15 minutes into the John Smoltz experience, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So, and I feel bad because play-by-play guy's great, but yeah, I can't hear John Smoltz.
I thought that swing that either Luke's or Lucas, whoever he is, that he put on that last pitch to ground out. That was the karmic scales, the postseason karmic scales balancing for Clayton Kershaw, because that ball was 6 inches low.
That ball was never in the zone. I mean, look, and we're not standing at the plate where you would hope that slider has enough tilt that maybe at some point but out of the hand, that ball was never in the zone at any point.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess you do have to give it up to our buddy Dave Roberts that he didn't bring Kershaw back out for the next inning, which is what they've typically done. But as some of you may know, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Wait, what?
I'm a fan of the Red Sox, and there have now been 2 18-inning World Series games played in history. They were both in this stadium.
I was at the first one, yeah.
You've
been at both of them.
Both of them in the last seven years, and I remember in the first one just feeling like, just end this. Like, we can't win. Like, the visiting team cannot win those games. It's just everyone was so tired. The crowd was dead. It was like a mid-season. It was like a game in June against the Diamondbacks or something. It was so quiet. and the crowd was like trying at times, but like there were moments like in the 13th, 14th, 15th innings where there were 2 outs and 2 strikes, and they were doing the like let's get loud kind of like they had Dr. Dre and people on the jumbotron like screaming and saying let's get loud, and the crowd was like like they were like trying, but everyone was so tired, and all anyone was thinking about was how long it was going to take in the parking lot after the game to get home. And even then, you're just as the visiting team, like Ohtani is just lurking. He's just lurking out
he's
there,
just waiting,
and you're just counting like in the the 5 hole hitters up. You're like, all right, we just need 1 base runner and without a double play, and then we'll get to Ohtani again. And it was only a matter of time. And I kept thinking it was going to be someone besides. I was like, it's not going to be Ohtani because they're never going to pitch to him.
They're not going to pitch to him,
But
right?
one of
I
these
thought it
guys,
was going to be Mookie. I really did. I mean, Mookie had chance after chance after chance.
Did he? I believe he had. I could be wrong about this, but I believe he had 5 chances to walk off the game, and one of them he was walked.
Yes.
So it really only 4, but he had like 4 chances to win the game by himself, and he just popped everything up.
They all did. Everybody did. Everybody in that lineup. By the way, because we are doing this live, we actually can get fact checked in real time. So,
good. That's good for us.
Our listener Keith tells us it is Lucas.
Yeah,
so,
I thought it was. I thought it was Lucas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, everybody. I mean, what was especially after the 12th, after the Kershaw thing, every half inning for the Blue Jays was like, oh, they're not scored. There's no chance. No. And every half inning for the Dodgers was like, how did they not score?
Yeah, which one of these guys is going to just put the ball? It was like, I thought it was going to be Will Smith for some reason. I was like, this seems like a Will Smith moment. And then Muncy comes up. You're like, oh, Muncy is the all-time Dodgers postseason home run leader. Surely he will do it.
And they all kind of like, Will Smith hit that ball that he was sure was gone.
Yeah.
And he hit it hard. Although I will say, based on exit velocity, it was a 50-50 ball. It wasn't like he hit that 17 rows deep or anything. I mean, and it was definitely humid and could you feel it? Could you feel the extra moisture in the air?
I mean, it was cold, and so it felt like it felt like the air was heavy, and balls that seemed like they were leaving the park were just dying out there.
Right. T.O. hit one that I thought he hit better than actually Will Smith's ball, but he hit it more to center field. And then you mentioned Muncy. Muncy hit that foul ball that was like destroyed.
I was on the first baseline, so I knew pretty quickly that it was foul.
It was foul. Yeah.
I mean, Mookie ripped a ball foul at like 105 off the bat. That was a line drive down the line that would have ended the game. That was foul, but they were just coming so close.
Just a little bit
times.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the longer the game went on, the more that it sort of felt like a self-fulfilling prophecy that like nobody's going to score in this game. It felt just off a little bit. I mean,
the thing about the difference I'll say in these 2 18-inning World Series games is that in 18, it was the Dodgers were down 2-0, and so they won Game 3 in 18 innings, and you still, if you were a Red Sox fan, you were still like, all right, fine. Like, but it didn't kill you because it was sort of like both teams are exhausted. Both teams, in that game, Nate Eovaldi pitched like 5 2/3 or relief or something, and saved them. And they won Game 4 and then won Game 5, and then it was over. In this case, you're talking about the Blue Jays gave up home field by losing Game 2, and had a chance to get back on serve in Game 3. And the fact that they couldn't do it, this isn't actually true, obviously, but it felt leaving that stadium like this series is over. Like, I don't know how the Blue Jays can feel good about themselves coming back. Now, I will say, just to put a fine point on this, they lost the first 2 at home to Seattle and came back and won. It's not like they're incapable of it, but there's just something about it felt very much like the old Red Sox Yankees world, that where you're playing a behemoth and you have a chance to steal a game. And if you lose that chance, and in this case, they had 15 chances to steal the game. And if you lose that chance, it's so depressing. Like it felt, I happened to be sitting near a huge clutch of Blue Jays fans.
Oh, wow.
And they were delightful. I will say the entire
Of course
game,
they were. Of
they were
course
so
they were.
delightful.
Canadians are delightful.
There was one guy who was who was in front of a kid, and he kept turning around. He was standing the whole time because he was like losing his mind. But he kept turning around and going like, "I'm so sorry. Can you see? If you can't see, I'll sit down." And then the dad of the kid was like, "No, it's okay. We get it. It's an exciting game." And they were so lovely and so great and so excited to be there. And leaving the stadium, like walking out with them, they were just like, well, geez, like it didn't feel like they lost the game. It felt like they lost the series. And I don't know that they're wrong.
Yeah. Well, I have a few thoughts on that, but it looks to me like we have Molly Knight with us. Molly seems to be in our waiting room, which I didn't even know we had a waiting room. Which is super duper exciting. So I think Molly's going to join us here on the podcast, which is great. Once we see Molly seems to be popping in as we speak. There's Molly. I think the question to ask, and
Hello,
we should do a poll. Who among us looks the most tired? Who do you think is the most tired of us three? Molly, who do you think is the most tired?
Me.
You're definitely.
I was at the game with a small child last night.
Yeah, that's rough. I was at the game with a normal sized adult and
a bunch of Canadians. You were at the game.
She looks like on the drive home. Freddie Freeman's her favorite, and she wore her Freddie shirt.
Yes, it was so cool. The photo.
7.
Yes, the photo. There's the photo of her. Look at that. Just out. That's so delightful. That's how I feel right now, honestly.
I will say that walking to my car in the parking lot, there were like 4 or 5 dads who were with kids between ages of 8 and 12. And I heard them all have a version of the same conversation, which was, okay, buddy, it's really late, so you can't be on your iPad on the way home. You gotta try to sleep in the car. Like everyone was parenting as well as they could parent.
In like the 13th, she's like, "Can I go back to the playground before we leave?" I was like,
"What are you talking about?"
There's a playground like near, I don't know, there are little playgrounds all around the stadium. I'm like, they stopped selling food in the 9th again, just like in 2018. Mike, I'm sure you were there at Game 3.
I was not. I was on the East Coast.
Oh, I was there. I was at that game.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, this is the second longest World Series game in MLB history." I'm like, "Well, I was at both."
You were both of them.
They stopped selling food in like the 9th. Like it's just like no more Dodger dogs, no more. Forget beer sales, no water, nothing. And then there was a rumor that there was pizza behind home plate. And so then, like, my entire section, I was on the reserve level. Everyone was just running down to try to get pizza. And one lady, some lady got the last box, and I thought, oh, God. But everyone was nice about it. So the box was like this big. Like she couldn't feed her.
It's just a tiny, of course. It
wasn't like an actual pizza.
But you do anything for food at that point.
I have to go in a minute, so I'm gonna give you my final thoughts on this.
Let's hear some final thoughts from Mike on this.
Final.
My final thoughts are that Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player of all time, and anybody who says differently is insane.
No, nobody. I don't know. I don't even know there's an argument anymore.
I don't know what else he has to do. He's pitching tonight, like that. Like after what he did yesterday, pitching.
He reached base 9 times in a playoff game, and he's pitching tonight.
It's the most times anyone has ever reached base in a game, and it was the World Series.
Yes.
And also the reason it happened is because every time he came up to the plate, the first 4 times, he destroyed the baseball so definitively that the crowd, like there was like, I don't think anyone else, this is the simplest way to put this. Like you can do all the statistical analysis you want. After every at bat that Shohei Ohtani takes in the major leagues, 40 to 45% of the stadium is doing the same thing, which is this.
Or their phone.
The other ones have just taken a picture. Yeah.
But you just see so many people like clutching their heads in disbelief. I've never seen an athlete in any sport. I think the closest you might come is like the first year that Steph Curry
Was
started
making all
pulling
those
from
half-court
like 30
shots.
feet.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've never seen an athlete, and this is obviously like 3-point percentage is like a good 3-point shooter hits like 42% of their shots. A good baseball player does not hit the ball that hard 42% of the time, or even anything where close to that. And so number one, final thought, Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player who's ever lived.
No doubt.
Point number two is this Dodger team somehow has gotten themselves into situations where their Achilles heel doesn't matter. And it's very rare. Like if your Achilles heel as a baseball team is defense, it's going to bite you on the ass.
It happened
at
in the
some
Yankees
point.
last year.
Yeah, it happened in the Yankees. Like that, everyone knew that their Achilles heel was like fundamental, essentially fundamental, but really defensive fundamental baseball. And you watched it happen. And the Dodgers somehow have over and over and over again in this postseason managed to slalom through their F- bullpen and win over and over again. And if they end up winning the title, which it feels like they're, 3-1 or 4-1 to or 1-3 or 1-4 to win at
now
this
they
point.
are.
It will be one of the most incredible runs of skill / luck that any championship winning team has ever had, I think, in the postseason. It's wild to me that they've gotten this far against good teams without having a thing that is classically terminal. It is a terminal illness for a baseball team,
especially today,
to have a terrible bullpen.
Yeah.
And yet, like, and if the Blue Jays learned nothing else, I would say that what they maybe hopefully learned last night is don't pinch run for your guys when they get on base, because if you get into one of these situations, like if you can just have your regular lineup, and they got really unlucky obviously with Springer, they got Bichette had to be pinch run for.
Yeah, but Kirk is the one. Kirk is the one. Before you go, the Kirk thing, look, and I don't know, maybe you just can't have Kirk, catch all 18 innings. I mean, I'm saying that, but the last batter for the Blue Jays was Kirk's spot. Kirk would have been up with second and third. And that's a lot different than Heineman up there in that same situation. And Heineman is Kirk is very slow. He's this much faster than he's your backup catcher. He's this much faster than Kirk.
That was a crazy move. They also, but like, every time Vladdy singled or walked or whatever, and you're like, here comes your cleanup hitter, Isaiah Kiner Falefa.
They frankly should have been walking Guerrero.
They should have 100%.
They kind of were pitching around him, but like he was still getting too many pitches to hit. That was insane.
Yeah, I don't actually know why. I mean, you want to talk about, because we'll talk about Shohei in a minute here, Molly, once Mike goes. But final thought, Mike, question about this. Because I think that yes, it does appear that the Dodgers are up, but Shohei pitching tonight, it's all about that, right?
Yeah, it is. It's all about that. And, if he goes out there and does what he did last time and throws 6 innings of shutout ball and 10 strikeouts, like give him the MVP, and then also give him the regular season MVP for next year and the NLCS MVP.
He should get the Dodgers, frankly.
Yeah, he should own the Dodgers.
Just give him the Dodgers.
Give him the 100% of the Dodgers. All right, I have to go. Good luck, Molly. I'm going to take a nap for 3 hours.
He's going to go sleep.
Game tonight too?
No, I'm not going tonight. I can't do it.
He's done. He's done. All right, Mike.
Some of us are real fans, so no. Some of us.
I know. I mean, it's absurd, And then the guy thinks he's got to work instead of podcasting. I mean, what is?
I know.
Where are priorities in this world?
I know. My friend Megan, who you introduced me to, Megan Anram, who's like, now we text like all day, every day.
Because she's the greatest. That's why.
She's the greatest, and we both play Pokemon Go, and we're like. It's crazy. We're like the same age. We live a block away from each other, but avenue, whatever. We live like a 10-minute walk from each other. We have all the same interests. We have like 400 mutual friends.
You guys, as soon as as soon as I was talking to her and she said Pokemon Go, I said, I've got a friend for you. I'd like to introduce you to your best friend, Molly Knight.
I do think that there's like a thing, if people's brains, like Pokemon Go is a silly little video game, and I never was into video games, and if I wasn't into even like Candy Crush or Farmville or whatever people were doing. But this hits like a specific thing baseball people like. It's like a collector thing. So if you're ever into collecting cards,
Yeah.
they're Pokemon cards. I don't collect them, but it's like that thing in the brain that gets people to want to collect stamps or coins or baseball cards. It's something baseball people have, and so I think a lot of baseball players play Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah. No,
It's very cute. I see them put their little Pokemon in gyms, and I know like, oh, that guy's in the bullpen, and he put his Pokemon in the gym. Dodger Stadium. He should probably be off his phone. I'll never tell. I'll never rattle anyone.
No. All right, and so we're going to talk a little bit more about this game. You were not here at the beginning when we talked about this. By the way, we do have people actually watching this live, which is crazy. So anybody wants to.
I've not.
Molly, you look great. Molly, you look great. You always look great. So anybody wants to ask questions, we'll keep an eye out on that. We've got we'll keep an eye on that before we hit the one last meaningless thing route. But I want to start off with this because this is what I start off with, Mike. It appears to me, and I think Mike was hitting this at the end. You know, the Dodgers, it felt to me all night, pushed the wrong button again and again and again. Bringing in Trinan was just weird. Putting Kershaw in that situation was just bizarro. Walking Jimenez was just whack. I mean, like everything just felt like Dave Roberts lost his mind. And I actually was talking to somebody about this. We love Dave Roberts here on the PosCast. He's been on the PosCast. He's a very nice man. However, I really, really, really don't like those mid-inning interviews because I think they're so ridiculous and stupid. Yes. But I like Dave's. And the reason I like Dave's is not because I think he's great in them. He's fine. I like them because he always has this weird confidence that he knows exactly what's happening. Like he always has this weird, like, oh, we're getting to him. We're getting to their starter now. You know, I love the swings we're getting. And sometimes he's right. Sometimes it works out. A lot of times he's wrong. And when he's wrong, God bless him, Dave seems lost. I mean, he has no plan B. It's like if plan A doesn't work, he seems utterly lost. He seemed utterly lost all last night, I thought.
I mean, look, okay. So all year, the Dodgers bullpen was a problem. And the reason why it was a problem is because they were so married to their three expensive veterans, Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, and Blake Trinan. All three of them were awful. Awful. And it became clear they were awful. And Trinan, you know, they had to ride the bullpen so hard last year. I mean, he was the one that pulled the Will Klein during Game 5 of the World Series last year and went, 2 1/3 or whatever it was. Hard, really stressful pitches against a really tough Yankee lineup, So his arm he just did not recover. And it was so frustrating because it was like, dude, and Dave kept saying, we got to get our guys right. Okay, it was September 10th. They're not getting right.
They're not getting right now.
So, and people were kind of like, well, Molly, what else are they going to do? I'm like, they could give Will Klein a shot. They could call up Enriquez and give him a shot. They could start using Roki Sasaki as a reliever. They could give Emmett Sheehan some more looks out of the bullpen. Like all the things that I was screaming about that they didn't do until finally, like the last week of the year when they were like, all right, we're putting Yates or whatever they decided, they were done with Yates.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we have to use Sasaki. I mean, I'm like, Will Klein throws the ball like 100 miles an hour with crazy movement, but
with a great curve. Yeah.
He has a problem with walks and control. Okay. Who would benefit more from experience at this point down the stretch?
Right.
Enriquez is like the closer of the future. He throws 100.
He throws 102 for crying out loud.
Why? I mean, yes, he's rough around the edges because he's a child, like give him a chance. If these games don't matter, watching so many Yamamoto, you guys have seen everything that the Dodgers did this year. It was an extremely unpleasurable season to watch because Yamamoto would go, 8.2 of no hit ball. And then they bring in and he'd give up a homer, and then they bring in Trinan and give up 4 runs. Dave Roberts is trauma bonded to Blake Trinan. He refuses. He thinks he like knows. He looks into Trinan's heart or something and thinks it's there. He refuses to like come to grips with the fact that it's over. Like, at least for this year, it's over. Stop it. Like, he brought in Trinan. All he had to do was get one out, and it was like 4 batters came up. You know, it's just like, this is not, and that happens all the time. Stop using him. I mean, they have to today because no one else. I don't know who else they can use, but
well, they're going to he's going to ride Shohei, especially because Shohei's not going to ever hit again. I don't think they're never going to pitch to Shohei again.
At one point, Shohei came up kind of lame at second. I think he had a cramp because
they said he had a cramp on television. Okay, yeah,
sure, but like he's exhausted and he's a man who gets like 12 hours of sleep every night, and like how's he going to be today after? I mean, he's a freak. But like,
he's a freak, but he did say as soon, like in his post-game interview, he did say like, I got to get to bed.
I'm going back to the Jays chanting, "We don't need you" at him in Game 1, the Jays fans, and I'm like,
that was smart.
That's not something you chant in Game 1. You chant that in Game 5 when you're
when you're up 3-1. That's when you chant.
Because then he homered, and now he's been on base. I believe 10 consecutive times, and 12 is the record for the playoffs.
It's absurd.
They're going to walk him. He's going to hit it.
They said they're not going to pitch to him. I mean, they've just basically said they're not going to pitch to him. And look, and so let me ask you this, because this you know this. I think probably people listening know this. I've been ranting about the intentional walk forever. About not the strategy of the intentional walk, which is a whole other conversation. Like. Yeah. Intentionally walking Jimenez was just stupid. Like that's just dumb.
I crashed out. That was like right around the time the stadium scoreboard crashed out too.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't see like who was batting. Like literally there was just black on the screen. It was like headless batters coming up and headless. Right. Like, did they just intentionally walk Andres Jimenez?
Yeah. With first base open. So that they could face Davis Schneider, right? Davis, whatever.
Right? You didn't even need like a double play. Like what?
It with 2 outs. Yeah. Again, the worst hitter in the American League. I mean, it was so bizarre. So that's a strategy thing. Man, could talk about that. I've been saying for 20 years now, but particularly the last 10, that it's terrible for baseball. It's just bad for the game. No game that is supposed to be like for spectators would allow you to just intentionally walk the other team's best hitters it just wouldn't happen. There's no other sport. People always try to come up like, oh, well, you double team this guy or triple. That's not the same thing. The equivalent would be, okay, I don't want to face Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to give them 20 yards of that's the equivalent.
Mookie Betts gets to start 3-0. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You have to put Shohei on, and Mookie gets to start.
No. What I would do, honestly, what I would do is I'd make all 4 pitch walks 2 bases. I've said this for a while now. I'd make all 4 and hit by batter, and 4 pitch walks 2 bases anytime. So if you 4 pitch walk a guy to start the game, that's still a 2 base.
Look, they might have to. I don't know because, well, Shohei goes through slumps and hot streaks and all of that.
But we won't know if they never pitch to him again. I mean,
that's the thing. They might have to come up with another Ohtani rule. Like, it's only intentionally walk someone. So
it happened with Bonds, right? Yeah. But with Bonds, it was different for multiple reasons, including the fact that people generally didn't like Bonds, right? And felt like he was cheating anyway and whatever. Ohtani is by far the most beloved player in baseball. He is by far the most important player for the game.
Yeah.
You can't have a game like if they literally intentionally walk him every time he comes up today, that's not viable for baseball.
There will be a rule. There will be a rule change. Like there were rule changes. 2017 World Series was an aberration for a lot of reasons, but there were Brian McCann made so many mound visits in Game 7 of 2017 that they changed the mound visit rule.
They did, yeah.
That's also helped out accelerate the pitch clock rule, just because the Astros had bases loaded. I mean, the pitchers were struggling and they had to do whatever they could. Sometimes they change rules, and part of me thinks, well, his legend's only growing. That like, oh my God, they intentionally walked
Oh,
him
of course, of
5
course.
times in the World Series. But you're right, it can't be a thing going forward.
I just honestly don't believe baseball can like survive the idea that why would I tune in tonight? I won't even get to see Shohei Ohtani hit. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think in the regular. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Not as a television sport. I just don't think it can survive as a television sport if you can never see the best player hit. Now, this might pass and the Blue Jays might pitch to him and he might strike out a bunch and get into a cycle. You don't know what's going to happen. But I'm saying if indeed tonight in game 4, Shohei Ohtani never gets to swing the bat, that's a problem for baseball, a major problem for baseball.
Do you think they're going to IBB him to start the game?
I think they will. Yeah, I do. I really do. I think they'll make the argument to themselves that you can't fall behind in this game. And I think they'll they were asking, will they intentionally walk him in extra innings and put the winning run on second base, right? Like that happened. And then they didn't like quote unquote intentionally walk him, but they did, right? They threw 4 pitches where he couldn't hit them. So, maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll walk him. Maybe they'll throw 1 strike or whatever. Maybe he might see a pitch he can swing at, maybe. Yeah. But there is a real chance, especially if he comes up. Look, they'll never pitch to him with a runner on second, right? That'll never happen again. Certainly in the playoffs. They might pitch to him with a runner on first, maybe, but they might not. And with the bases empty, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know.
I think it's going to be different, a little different today. I think they're going to have to start. It's just a mess. But I think Pages has to take a seat, and they got to put Alex Call in there. He takes better at bats. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's an on base guy, and him getting on base in front of Shohei makes it tougher on the Blue Jays to figure out what to do at that point. Obviously, they're still probably going to walk him until Mookie Betts shows he can hit, which is
right. But I mean, there's not enough time at this point for Mookie to turn this around. I mean, he can turn it around for himself, but I'm saying at no point from a strategic standpoint, like they're just going to be like, we'll always face Mookie before we're going to face Ohtani again.
So Ohtani's locked in like
maybe nobody ever, right? Like David Ortiz in 2013 or Carlos Beltran in the playoffs in 05. Like or Rosarena, I guess, in 2020.
I've seen Manny Ramirez on runs like this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about like the best hitters of all time.
And he's kind of better than any of them.
Well, he hits the ball harder and farther, which is like this. You guys all know the sound off the bat is just different. Like you can just tell who's hitting. There were so many things about yesterday that were unprecedented, and so many things that I'm like, this is not that unprecedented. Like I was pretty sure the Dodgers were going to win because the Blue Jays took out half their hitters, and because like this is what they do. And I've been to an 18-inning World Series Game 3 at Dodger Stadium 7 years ago, and I watched that walk-off home run.
How long was the Astros extra inning, the one that Brandon ended? Was that 16, 15? How long was that
I don't
game?
even remember.
Do you remember? That was the year before. But it was long. It was also a long game.
And I was there too. And like I've seen Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off home run like a year ago.
Well, this is what I was going to say to you.
I mean,
listen, we have talked about this game for 45 minutes. We have not mentioned Freddie Freeman hit another World Series walk-off home. What a career that guy has had.
And he went dead center this time, we talked about the marine layer, I think. Did we talk about the marine layer? It was when I got to my car at 12:30 in the morning, the condensation I couldn't even see to drive out of there. So the marine layer, the dreaded marine layer, was knocking so many. That was part of why
for sure
balls were not traveling for either team. They just weren't carrying. And so Freddie got all of that one to go dead.
He crunched it.
At that point, it was like it was I can't even explain it. You know, the morning. It was the morning.
It was like a dew. Yeah. It
morning
was like,
dew, you know? And
yeah.
so, um, I'm surprised it took him that long. I'm a lot of things were just so surprising. I can't believe I saw 2 players get thrown out at third base by incredible plays. All the players we saw get thrown out at home. Like there was awful defense, but then there was incredible defense. Like
Yeah.
there were and the guys who came in on the Blue Jays, like their bullpen's not good, and they were heroes as well.
Eric Lauer was just like he turned into like
a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a purist game, right?
It was a super fun game. By the way, you mentioned all the runners getting thrown out, you know, at home or at third or whatever. And obviously it was both teams. But can I say this? The Blue Jays are slow. Holy cow, are they slow? That ball, and it was perfect. It was a perfect relay from Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
And a perfect throw home from Edman. It was perfect. That said, when that ball was off the bat, you're like, oh, of course he's going to score. Like anybody with any speed is scoring from first base on that play. And it wasn't even close. He was out by 10 feet.
It's weird because the Blue Jays, like, they're like short kings, you know, like a lot of them, like they're like my height. And they're gritty and they're tough. They're my height, but they can squat a car, you know. And they're so athletic. They can do the splits. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching these guys go. I'm like, these guys are impossible to. They're like insane, like blocking halfbacks or something. You know, they're just amazing, but they're so slow. And the Dodgers are like old, and like Teoscar Hernandez, I don't know what is going on with his body, his legs, like he can't move this year.
He can't move at all,
and so, and Tommy Edman is playing on it. Like that was another thing. Dave took Kike out, and he's the only other person on the roster who can play center field. Tommy Edman hadn't played center in months because his ankle is or a month or whatever, because his ankle's so jacked up. He's gonna have surgery, I think, when the season's over. And he was out there in center for.
I didn't understand. Is Kike hurt? I didn't understand that move either.
That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, Kike must be hurt, and then I'm like, oh, he's having Rojas bunt. Rojas is the best bunter on the team.
Okay, great.
Like, why are you taking out Kike Hernandez? He had the playoff, 950 OPS or whatever.
And well, it made no sense, especially because Rojas did what he was supposed to do. He got the bunt down. So what? They didn't score. I mean, at some point you have like the inning goes on. It's a bunt doesn't automatically get you a run.
And now you've removed your Swiss Army knife from a tie.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Because Kike is your emergency catcher. He's your emergency first baseman. He's your emergency pitcher. I mean, like that was really, people were like, oh, it's so funny. People are like, maybe they took him out so he could pitch. I'm like, that's not how this works. He's out. Like he's out of the game.
It's
that was not great. You leave Kike in to hit, and then you have Rojas bunt or whatever, pinch hit for Andy Pages. Like that was weird.
It was, like I say, it was not well managed. At times it was not well played, right? Like there were some silly mistakes. I mean, Shohei falling off a second base, sliding in after beating the steal. That was bizarro. That was just
having a weird, play where he got thrown out.
And Bo Bichette at some point, like just wandering off of first base, like thinking there was a walk. Remember that?
That was something I'd never seen before.
I've never seen that before.
I mean, I've seen Shohei get on, not 9 times. I've seen him take over a game offensively. I've seen an 18-inning game, World Series game. I've seen a Freddie Freeman walk-off homer. I have never in my life seen a base runner wander off first base thinking that the batter was walked.
Well, it was so weird because, I mean, this was something that on television was clearer. So he thought he'd gotten the walk, and he started to run to first, and the umpire clearly called strike. And then, so he started walking back, but then for some reason, he again thought he walked, the batter again thought, and then he started running, and that's when it was like the whole thing was very strange. Like we've all seen guys who think they drew a walk, and then the umpire calls him back. But this time the umpire called him back, and then he kept going anyway. It was that was very strange. By the way, that feels like it was 12 days ago, doesn't it?
It does. And also, these games are starting at 5 in LA. The lighting is really weird. I feel like it's the witching hour at that point with the shadows and the this and the that, and it's like the first 2 innings, it's weird baseball because I don't think that the hitters or the pitchers or the fielders or the runners can like see very well.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if he like, I don't know but that was the batter's fault because he was like aggressive.
I guess it was the batter's fault, but then the batter looked to the runner, and when the runner kind of kept going, then he thought he had misheard. It was that was just terrible baseball.
That
Weird.
umpire, I will
baseball.
say, had a really late call, a ball and strike.
He did it, but it was a clear call though.
It was and it was consistent. That's how long he takes. But there were several times when you're just like waiting. And I know MLB tells them take your time, get a good look, don't be fast. Be.
Yeah, but I thought he was terrible too. I thought the strike zone was awful last night.
In his defense, in literally everyone's defense, I was exhausted just sitting there watching.
Yeah, so for sure.
I mean,
but I thought he was awful early. I thought throughout the game he was awful.
How was he? I'm sure he's like a middle-aged man. I don't know. How was he crouched down for 7 hours?
That's true. That's true.
On Earth. And then like I was watching the umps because this happened in 7 years ago. Like they got to run in there and pee and try to get a snack and try to get some water like between innings, like everyone else. I mean, they're not having to deal with the bathroom lines on the concourse, but the vibe was basically like hardly anybody left. And then as soon as because when the Dodgers were up, that'd be like a chance to end it. So you didn't want to miss that. And so then as soon as they would make the third out, everybody would just sprint up the aisles to go to the concourse and try to pee. So then you go out there. And I felt bad. It's the one truism in life is that it's always the women's restroom line is always longer than the men's.
Of course it is.
Except at baseball playoff games.
Oh yeah.
So I'd go out there and I'd have like a line of 10 and there'd be like a line of 50.
6,000, yeah.
Yeah, suckers. But yeah, they stopped selling food. And again, my theory, they stopped selling food in the 9th inning, and drink and water. And we were all, once again about to starve and thinking about door dashing pizza or something. My theory is that this happened because this is the first game of this is their first home game of like 3 back-to-backs. So like they can't sell through all their inventory. And that was the exact same thing that happened in game 3 of the 2018 World Series.
So weird.
I feel like if it had been game 5, they'd just been like, screw it, leave the gate. Like we're selling through all we have. And when we're out of hot dogs, we're out because it's the last game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like everything must go. This is my theory. Maybe there's a hot dog truck that can come in.
Well, there was at one point, I mean, the whole game was so weird in this sense. At one point, I think it was Verducci who said that they had brought 290 baseballs and they had through the 14th inning, it was almost not enough. Like they'd already gone through 220 or 230 of them or something. I mean, like it was bananas. All right. And I have a question for you. About tonight's game. So Shohei is starting tonight, as we know. Obviously, the bullpen is going to be hampered, to say the least. But my question for you is this. Will Shohei, assuming Shohei is good tonight, which I think, look, I don't think Springer is back yet. It seems like
we have to stop and talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I knew he was going to get booed. I have never heard that level of booing.
No, that was loud. No, it was loud.
And I was there. I was a child during the Bonds era, like, all through San Francisco.
Sure.
And then became a young adult. And the booing from Machado was over the top. This booing was like during the pregame introductions, people booed for a minute straight. They had to pause for booing so that they could properly give the next guy. They want to recognize the starting lineups.
Of course.
And it was just through the whole at bat. And then they only stopped to chant cheater. And this happened, obviously because of the 2017 science scandal, but also because Dodger fans didn't get punished. And Dodger fans it was uncovered right before the pandemic season. So no fans were there to boo. This was like 8 years of buildup. And then he went to go play in Toronto. And so it just they haven't been able to do that. I had no idea what happened when he swung. And I thought he had fouled a ball off his foot or something.
No, it was pulled.
It was the oblique, and that did not look good at all.
It didn't look good at all. So, I mean, he might be done for the series. I haven't heard anything.
I mean, he walked straight off the.
It looked terrible.
field.
No, it looked really bad. So without him, obviously, that's
Well,
a much
they'll shoot him up with Toradol or whatever else to get him back in there.
Maybe.
He'll be on the Freddie Freeman cocktail from last.
Yeah, he might.
I mean,
but
sorry, I didn't. Just Bo Bichette too. I gotta just say, the kid is playing his absolute.
he can't move. He's playing his heart out. He can't move. I mean, but he's getting hits and he's contributing, and he can still hit, but he can't move.
But he can't move. So
yeah, they should allow like when we were kids, just allow that little runner to run for him.
Yes.
But no, here's my question. So it's a weekend Blue Jays lineup. Shohei is on top of the world. He's coming off a great performance. Let's say Shohei is pitching great, and his pitch count is getting a little bit up there, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to however. Yamamoto just completed a game. Obviously, Shohei, he feels they're competitive. They're competitive. Yeah. Does Shohei insist on staying in the game? Is he going to keep pitching for as long as he can pitch, you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Except he's not stubborn to the point of some guys. I don't think he's as stubborn as Scherzer or Kershaw in a way where he'll bark at a manager to turn around,
Although Kershaw, it's been a while since Kershaw's been that guy. Yeah.
Yes, but
Scherzer is still that guy. Yeah.
Yes, he's not a nightmare. But those two guys who are lovely people, who are two of my favorite players of all time, they are nightmares on the days they pitch. You do not want to be around them. They are nasty. Just don't, not abusive. But
no, but you remember the old line that they used to have about Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson? That Randy Johnson was delightful to be around the other 4 days and a nightmare on the day he pitched, and Schilling was a delight to be when he pitched, but a nightmare the other 4 days. It's exact. So yeah, I know.
Surprising.
Isn't that fun? Yeah,
and I love that he's a photographer and
he is so much fun.
He's living his best life. And
yes, he
is
is
a Renaissance man. Yes, I think Shohei. I just don't know. The concern is he is not as good hitting the days after he pitches. Now, the Blue Jays won't believe that, though. They're going to walk him probably no matter what.
I think they'll walk him no matter what. I mean, look, somebody in the chat basically said it's up to the Dodgers to make them pay, which they're right. They're right about that. It's not untrue. However, we're past that point now. I mean, it's game 4. I mean, the Dodgers are not going to hit well enough to change the philosophy at this point.
No. I mean, they'd rather pitch to Mookie than Shohei, and that's
for sure. Freddie too. They'd rather pitch to Freddie than Shohei, even though Freddie's great.
They'd rather pitch to anyone but Shohei.
Of course.
So that's just what they're going to do. They decided we are not going to let this guy beat us. That's it. Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to have much. I mean, he's pitching today, so he can beat them that way, but. The Jays lineup is really good. I mean, I guess
not this lineup. The lineup they put out there at the end of the game yesterday would never score a run ever.
No. But those guys are good. Kirk, Varsho, Barger, Guerrero, Clement. These guys are good.
Yeah.
And this is the best team the Dodgers have played in this postseason. I think the Phillies were also good, but
I think the Phillies are more dangerous. But I think you don't think so?
Top to bottom, this lineup, the Blue Jays are just they foul everything off.
They do. They
battle, and that's a particularly tough matchup for the Dodgers because they don't have a bullpen.
Right.
So maybe the Phillies are better, but I feel like maybe the Blue Jays are better designed to they're the way that their approach is harder for the Dodgers. Maybe I don't know. Who can say, right? I mean,
well, we don't have any idea. Look, the Shohei could get rocked in the first inning too. Anything is possible at this point, but it's going to be this.
We're not even talking about Vlad Guerrero Jr., who's having one of the best postseasons ever. I mean, he could easily hit a homer off Shohei in the first inning.
He could have done that 4 times yesterday. They kept pitching to him, sort of. I mean, they were trying to pitch around him, but what
they were doing.
Yeah, that was nuts.
It should have been 4, every time.
Yeah, which it might be. I mean, look, if it gets to that point. All right, it's time for one last meaningless thing, which I'm going to change a little bit this time. If you have a one last meaningless thing, we'd love to hear it.
One last meaningless thing. Okay. I don't know if it's meaningless. I'm really interested to see if they're going to walk Shohei to lead off the
That's
the
never
game.
that's got to be a first. No, that's never happened in World
That's never
Series
happened,
history.
right?
No. And by the way, could you imagine saying to somebody that Shohei Ohtani is so good, they're going to intentionally walk him to lead off the game? Oh, and he's also the pitcher that day.
And he's
Like,
hitting in front of 2 Hall of Famers. What?
and he's the pitcher. Oh yeah, we got to walk the pitcher. Yeah, that guy.
I mean, I guess it's not meaningless.
No, that's
I feel on the one hand like my body is destroyed. How are these players going to do this? How are these umpires going to do this? But I feel on the other hand so blessed to be alive on the planet at the same time as Shohei Ohtani, and that I get
so
to go
true.
tonight and see his World Series pitching debut. It just feels it feels incredible, and my one last meaningless thing, maybe it's not meaningless, is kind of how the way he took the "We don't need you" chant. Did you see that he was laughing because his wife loved it? Because his wife was like telling him, "I don't need you around the house. Like I take care of everything. You know, you do your baseball stuff. I deal with the kid, the dog, or this or that." And so she started chanting it at him, and so they were laughing about it. I'm like, how could you even that's adorable, that they got the kick out of it. And he's like, I better start pulling my weight at home, or my wife's going to continue to chant it at me.
It's so fun. It is absolutely so fun.
What's your last meaningless thought?
Well, I actually have a meaningful thought. I was actually looking this up so I could get this right. It's actually pretty meaningful. So, friend of the PosCast and regular member of our holiday draft, Ryan George, is people in Canada will particularly know him. Ryan is a YouTube comedian. You can find his stuff on. He's absolutely one of the funniest people I've ever known, and one of the funniest people I've ever seen. He lost his father this past week. He lost his father, Gary, who I got to meet. I actually got to meet his father. Just this quintessential Canadian person in every way. When I met him, I went to a Montreal Canadiens game with him. This is actually will be a big part of the book coming out that I wrote called Big Fan. There is a whole chapter of me going to the Canadiens game against the Maple Leafs with the entire Ryan George family, which was so delightful. Anyway, Gary had cancer and died very suddenly, and it's very, very sad. And he was just such a nice man and such a wonderful person. I wanted to give a little shout out to Gary George and send Ryan all of our best because this is obviously a pretty tough time for him. So it's meaningful. I realize that. I usually go meaningless, but today we'll go a little bit meaningful. And it'll be exciting to see what happens tonight. I kind of agree with Mike that the series kind of feels over, but here's the thing: it doesn't have to be at all. It just doesn't have to. If the Blue Jays win, they're going to send the series back to Toronto, and it's so hard to beat them there. So anything can still happen.
It did feel big just because all those series that are tied 1-1 or 2-2, whoever wins that game, all the games mean the same, but for whatever reason that feels like a hinge point, like a pivotal point.
Yes,
but this series is not. I don't think it's over at all.
We'll see tonight. I mean, look, if the Dodgers win tonight, it's over. I think. It feels at that point. Then it's going to be who's actually scheduled for Game 5. Is it Snell? It is Snell. So
Should be. I mean,
you don't want to mess with that.
That's what I mean. Anything could change, but that's what that's where it is right now.
By the way, before we go, how about Yamamoto warming up? That guy is he's
my
a freak.
Favorite pitcher in MLB. I've been saying this. I wrote a whole thing where I predicted he'd win the Cy Young this year, and then I crossed it out. and still published it anyway because I realized the Dodgers would never let him throw as many innings as Zach Wheeler or even Paul Skeens.
Or even Paul Skeens, yeah.
This guy is a freak, you guys. He throws javelin. He trains by throwing javelins. He's like a ballet dancer out there. He is as graceful as Zach Greinke, but he doesn't grunt when he pitches. It is musical. It is a symphony. And he's sassy. Like he's one of the guys, like he hangs out on the road with like the hitters and stuff and plays cards. Like,
he's awesome.
Dog.
He's awesome.
He is. Yeah. And he is a little bit, he's like, I'm coming over here and I'm winning titles, you know.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, he honestly was going to go into the game 2 days after he threw a complete game, the first complete game of the World Series in a decade. It's crazy. I love that guy. Yeah. All right, Molly, we got a call today. Molly, thank you for joining, and we'll do this again.
Okay, let's do it again. Let's see if Shohei can do it tonight.